Hello, this is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I want to show you how I made this card. So let's get started. You need a scrap paper, Whisper White, piece of white which is 4 by 5 1/4, a piece of Magenta Madness or a bright shocking pink color which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and a heavy white card base which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. I'm going to be using a basket of blooms. I'll be using this stamp and this stamp and this stamp, and then I'm bringing in Tasteful Touches for this stamp and a sentiment just saying hello. Okay, so let's start, and we're also going to be using the small bloom punch. Inks: Magenta Madness, Mary Merlot, Pacific Point, Misty Moonlight, and Memento Tuxedo Black, and then either a Wink of Stella or a water brush or both. Okay, so let's start by stamping those flowers in the Magenta Madness. Let me wash this, make sure it's clean. Alright. And I need 3 of these, so I'm just going to stamp this 3 times on here. Alright. Bring in that small bloom punch. I'm going to go ahead and punch those out. One more. Okay, so we're done with this. Alright, now we're going to bring in that layer. I'm going to start with the Mary Merlot. And the vase, or however you want to say it. We're going to stamp it over here in this section. It's maybe 1 inch from the bottom. Okay, we're done with that. And then we're going to, well, bring in a water brush. And I'm going, you don't want it to be wet, but you want it to be wet enough you can push some of this ink around. That's just going to add a little bit of, make it look a little bit like glass. Okay. And I'm just going to use the ink that's on this. There's some ink on this stamp. I'm going to pick up a little bit. And I'm going to do a shadow underneath it. It's a little darker than I wanted it to be, but it'll work. Okay, so we're done with that one. Now we're going to bring in the stem and the Misty Moonlight. that up. And then I'm going to stamp that so this bottom leaf is just coming out of the top of the vase, but you want to make sure that stem is either wiped off or that it stays inside the vase. You don't want it to stick out the side. Okay. Now we're going to take this stamp. I need a piece of scratch paper. Pull one in. Okay. And we're going to ink up the splotch. We're going to stamp off, and we're going to stamp this a couple of times. I want it to be with the 2 on the top, I think. And then I stamped it, and I stamped it again. And I really only inked it that one time. Like that. You see it? It's kind of washed out. Okay. And then we're going to bring in the Memento ink in our sentiment. I could probably have used this ink, the Misty Moonlight. I'm going to stamp that right here. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to bring in some dimensionals. I think I'm going to use little ones just because small spaces. Add some dimensionals to the back of these flowers. Take those backs off. Whoops, where'd it go? Alright, we're going to arrange our flowers. I'm going to change it up a little. I'm going to do it like that. Like that better. Okay, then this is going to get adhered to the Magenta Madness piece. There's just going to be a little bit of a border. So line up those 3 sides so that they're the same. Set it down. We're going to line this one up onto, do the same thing with the Magenta Madness onto the front of our card. I'm going to flip this over because there we go. And I've got 2 little bows. I've got one tied with the white, and I've got one tied with some baker's twine. Bring in some glue dots. Put one on the back of that. I'm going to roll this one because I don't need it as wide. I'm going to stick it on the front of that. Stick this right on top of it. And then this is going to go down here. Or figure out where you want it. I think on this one I'll put it right there. So there's a card we just made together. Here's the one I did previously. I'd like to thank you for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.